Have you ever woken up afraid of making a bad decision, with your heart sinking and your mind spinning in circles trying to predict everything that could go wrong? There are days when the hardest thing is choosing, knowing where to go, what to say, what to keep quiet, or even what to feel. Breathe. Close your eyes, just for a second. You don't need to answer anything now. You don't need to prove that everything is okay. Today dawned, and you're still here. That's already a miracle. Today's prayer is based on James chapter 1 verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. This is a prayer for those who feel they need to decide, but don't want to make any more mistakes. For those who are tired of making impulsive choices and now just want peace. It's for those who are in front of a door, but don't know if they should open it or wait, if they should insist or let go. This prayer is for you who have a divided soul, but want to be whole before God. You don't need to have all the answers or know the next step. Today, you just need to ask, with faith, with an open heart, because he listens and he gives wisdom, gives direction, gives peace in the midst of doubt. And the best part, he gives without judging, without pointing the finger at your past, without comparing your journey to anyone else's. He just gives because he loves and because he knows how hard it is to decide. Sometimes the wisdom we need is not to choose between right and wrong. It's to have discernment, to know the moment, to understand the timing, to recognize when it's God speaking and when it's just our anxiety screaming. And when you don't know what to do, when everything seems hazy, remember this. If you need wisdom, ask. It's that simple. Like a child asking his father, "What do I do now?" God will not tire of your questions, nor will he remain silent to punish you. He is the Father who answers, who shows the way, who guides your steps, even when you don't feel your feet on the ground. So stay here just a little longer. Don't try to rush to solve everything now. Rest in the presence that is already arriving, in the care that is being poured out, in the gentle voice that will show you to which way to go. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You don't have to carry this alone. Even if you don't have clarity yet, you can have peace. Even if you don't know what to do, you can trust. Even if you don't understand anything yet, you can rest and say there in your heart, "I trust in you, Lord. Even without understanding, I continue to believe. Guide me step by step, day by day." If this prayer spoke to you, maybe it's because God called you to this moment. Maybe he stopped the sky just to remind you that he's still here by your side, in your room, inside your doubt, and holding your hand. Check if you're already registered. There's always a new prayer waiting for you here, very early, just the way your soul needs it. What if that was the answer you wanted? Today's word wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was God, reaching out to you, calling you gently. Today's prayer is based on the book of James, chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. Maybe no one knows what you are going through right now. Maybe you don't even know how to explain exactly what you feel, but God knows. And he wrote this promise for you to read with the eyes of your heart, for you to feel with your soul, to remind you that you don't have to decide everything alone. This word is for you who are at your limit, for you who are afraid of making mistakes, who have tried to do everything right, but still feel insecure, lost among 1,000 paths. God knew what this dawn would be like. He knew about the silence, the confusion, that tightness in your chest that you can't show to anyone, and yet he approached with love, with patience, with wisdom. Yes, wisdom, not the world's, not the wisdom from books, but his, the wisdom that calms, the wisdom that guides, the wisdom that heals on the inside before it changes on the outside. God does not want you to live guided by fear, by doubt, by the trauma of past choices. He wants to teach you to hear his voice with peace, to feel that, even without knowing everything, you can walk. Because those who walk with God do not walk in the dark, they walk with faith. You may not see the end of the road, but he is the light of the path, and he promised that he will grant you wisdom. He promised. It's not maybe. It's not if he's in a good mood. It's not just if you're holy enough. He gives freely, with kindness, with generosity, with love. God doesn't want to test you. He wants to transform you. He wants you to understand that every decision, no matter how small it may seem, is a chance to trust. To say with your life, Lord, guide me. I don't want to make decisions alone anymore. This prayer is for you who are tired of trying to guess what is right, who truly wants to rest in His will, even if you don't have all the answers yet. And if you still think you won't be able to hear clearly, listen to this calmly. The Bible also says in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths." You don't have to understand everything, you just have to trust. Trust with all your heart. Surrender every plan, every doubt, every detail. He will straighten your paths. He will take away your burdens. He will make room for peace. He will teach you to choose without fear. This word is a hug, a whisper from God saying, "I will show you what to do. Just call on me. Just trust." Sometimes, wisdom doesn't come as a quick answer. It comes as constant peace, and that peace is proof that He is guiding. Breathe again and then whisper inside, "Your peace sustains me. I trust in you, Lord." This word is for today, for now, for this choice that seems simple, but that paralyzes you. Maybe you need to make a career decision, or deal with a difficult conversation, or choose between two paths that seem right. Whatever the decision, don't do it alone. Don't be anxious. Don't run ahead of God's timing. Today He is calling you to walk more slowly, to ask before acting, to listen before deciding. And if silence comes, wait. Don't despair, because even His silence is an answer. Yes, God answers with wisdom, with calm, with direction. And when He leads, there is no regret, only peace, only certainty that it was heaven that led. So stay here a little longer, with a quiet heart, with your eyes closed, with your soul saying, "Even without understanding, I continue to believe. Guide me, step by step, day by day." Because the wisdom that comes from God begins like this, with surrender, with faith, with a prayer whispered in the darkness of the room and heard in heaven. But even with this beautiful promise, the pain is still here. The mind still races. Doubt still whispers. The heart tries to trust but stumbles on an old fear. You know God promised wisdom. You know He listens. But there are days when the world screams so loud that you can barely remember God's voice. It's like trying to carry peace in a leaky cup. You hold on tight, you try to keep it, but it all leaks out along the way. There are decisions to make, people to please, problems to solve, notifications that never stop, and time that never seems to be enough. It's like you wake up trying to find direction, but life pushes your steps in every direction. Like walking down a noisy hallway, looking for a place of silence. You try to pray, but your head screams deadlines, bills, old conversations. You try to listen, but your soul is too busy trying to survive. And yet, God is still here, waiting for you to sit down, close your eyes, and just be. It's hard to remember the promise when reality seems so confusing. When the world tells you that you have to decide fast, act now, don't waste time. But the sky still whispers, "Wait on me, call me, trust." And at that moment, we understand that wisdom is not just knowing what to do, it is knowing who to listen to before doing anything. Maybe today you feel pressured, surrounded by choices, with a divided heart, trying to please everyone, except your own soul. And even with the word in your heart, it's as if the world tries to tear that peace from your thoughts. You pick up your phone, and before you even have your coffee, you're already comparing your life to others, their achievements, their certainties, the perfect lives that appear in seconds of stories. And then you feel like you're falling behind, that you don't know what you're doing with your life, that maybe you've already made too many bad choices. But God is still here. In your confusion, in your haste, in your fear of making the wrong decision. He doesn't walk away because you got distracted. He doesn't condemn you because you got a little lost. On the contrary, He approaches with wisdom, with gentleness, with love, and says, "Let me remind you who you are. Let me show you that I am still your way, even with the world pulling. I choose to listen to you, Lord, even with my head full. I sit in your presence because your peace is still louder than any noise." You don't have to fight alone to stay focused. You just have to come back. Come back to the voice that never changes, to the presence that never fails. to the direction that has always loved you, and even tired, even at the limit. I'll be back. I return to your word. I return to the silence of your care. I return to the wisdom that frees me from myself. Because when everything seems confusing, the Lord is still light. He is still the north. He is still the answer. Even with all this, the Lord is still here. And maybe something is starting to change. And maybe something is starting to change. Her name was Elisa, 39 years old, 2 daughters, and a decision on her hands that seemed bigger than anything she had ever experienced. Her husband had left 5 months ago, not in anger, but with the kind of coldness that slowly empties a house. No shouting, no dramatic goodbyes, just absence, spreading like dust on the furniture. Elisa was left with everything: the girls, the rent, the bills, and the fear of not being able to support anything. At first, she tried to stay strong. She wrote a resume. She went back to handing out flyers in stores. She took on odd jobs selling candy at the school gates, but nothing was enough. And the money always became the last drop in a faucet leaking hope. Until a proposal came. An old acquaintance offered a permanent job. Good salary, stability, fixed hours. But there was one detail. The atmosphere was heavy. Dishonest people. Pressure to lie in reports. Behind-the-scenes games. Empty promises. Elisa listened to everything in silence, and she said she would think about it. On the outside, she smiled. On the inside, she screamed. That night, after her daughters were asleep, she locked herself in the bathroom. She sat on the cold floor, hugging her knees, and she cried like she hadn't cried in a long time. Her heart said, "Go. You have to." Her conscience whispered, "What if this takes you away from who you are?" And God, she didn't even know if he was still listening. It was there, between silent tears and the dim light of the hallway, that Elisa whispered, "Lord, show me what to do. Give me wisdom. Help me not to decide out of fear." And then she remembered. He remembered a phrase he had read months before in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 5. "If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, and he will give freely without reproach." At that moment, the memory came like a whisper within her soul, as if the verse was not only in the Bible, but written on the cold floor of that bathroom. In her doubt, in her decision, she took a breath. She stood there for a few more minutes, and then she simply said, "Then answer me with peace." The next morning, she called and thanked him for the proposal. She said no, even though there was no yes waiting for her on the other end. That same day, around 4 in the afternoon, she received a message from an old friend from church. A school coordinator was looking for someone to work part-time, organizing lunches, helping in the kitchen. It was simple, but honest, and with a light-hearted atmosphere. Elisa cried again, this time with relief. He accepted the job. He smiled again, and he understood over time that wisdom doesn't always bring a pretty answer. Sometimes it just teaches you how to say no. Today, she still lives simply, but with peace. She says she has learned to choose without betraying herself, and that every time a new decision appears, she stops, prays, and says softly, "Guide me, Lord, step by step." Because as the word says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths." This story is hers alone, but it could be yours or mine, or someone who is listening to this right now, because wisdom doesn't always solve your entire life, but it always protects your heart. Because wisdom doesn't always solve the whole life, but it always protects the heart. And maybe after hearing this story, you realize that there is something inside, taking the place that belonged to God. Sometimes we don't even realize it. Life gets tough. Fear creeps in slowly, and before we know it, it's already making decisions for us. Anxiety comes with just one thought. What if it doesn't work out? But that thought grows, and it begins to guide our steps, to control our rhythm, to silence the voice of faith, the need to get it right, to not make mistakes again, to make sure no one gets hurt, that everything works, that we don't lose control. And so, without meaning to, we remove God from the center. We place doubt there, or fear, or the desire for approval, and God is still around, but not on the throne. And this throne, this deepest place in our hearts, only has room for one government, It's as if the soul is asking now, who's in charge in there? Do you still trust in God, or are you just waiting for Him to confirm what you have already decided? Do you want Him to speak, or do you just want Him to say what you want to hear? The throne of your heart, who is it occupied by today? Because it's easy to get lost, easy to let the urgency of life override the eternal voice, easy to make choices based on pain, not direction. But even so, God continues to call, with sweetness, with patience, with love. Son, let me go back to the center, because when fear reigns, peace disappears. When anxiety rules, rest disappears. And when doubt commands, faith is silent. But when God occupies the throne, even silence becomes an answer, even waiting becomes a path, even confusion becomes a prayer. In the book of Psalms, chapter 121, it is written, I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. The psalmist did not seek a solution. He sought a presence. He did not ask what to do. He asked, from where? And he answered, from the Lord. Maybe today your heart is also full of questions, but God is here to be more than an answer. He wants to be the center, the king, the first. Even if doubt still knocks at the door, even if fear still whispers, even if control seems tempting, you can stop, breathe, and say, Lord, I return now to your lap, to your command. Because if God's love is not at the center, then everything falls apart. But if He reigns, even chaos obeys. Maybe you've put your logic on the throne, or your urgency, or that plan that seemed safe, or that advice that came full of reason, but empty of peace, God knows, and He didn't walk away because of it. He didn't turn His face away. He just waited for the moment when you would make room again. And that moment could be now. Lord, if I have taken you out of the center, forgive me. Today, I put you back in first place, in my heart, in my routine, in my thoughts. Reign again, because it is only in your government that my soul has peace. The throne of the heart is yours, Lord. And now, it is empty again, ready for your presence. And with God back at the center, the pain begins to lose strength. But maybe, it is still there. So let me ask you nicely, has this pain become the center of your life? Could it be that what hurts you the most is also what has the most control over your heart? Because there are pains that come on quietly. At first they seem like just an extra care, a warning, a protective thought. But when we realize it, they are already deciding for us. They are already organizing our routine. They are already dictating the next word, the next step, the next fear. It is fear that dictates decisions, doubt that seems prudent, but in reality only postpones what God wanted to build. It's like walking around with a weight hidden in your pocket. At first it seems light. You don't even notice it. But after a while, everything starts to hurt. Your back feels heavy. Your chest tightens, your soul gets tired, and this tiredness starts to seem normal. It starts to become the new, I'm just like this. But it isn't. You were not born to walk in this fatigue. You were not created to be guided by fear, nor were you called to live with a heavy heart every day. Maybe this pain promised you safety. It said that if you followed it, nothing would go wrong. But the price was your peace, because fear pretends to protect, but it only paralyzes. Doubt seems sensible, but it only prevents faith from growing. Confusion seems like precaution, but in reality it only blocks listening. And in the midst of internal voices of rapid thoughts, we begin to drift away without realizing it. And God, who was so close, becomes in the background, forgotten. Not because He hid, but because the pain screamed louder. Lord, this pain can no longer take your place. I want to return to your peace, to your command, to your gaze that calms everything. And when everything weighs on you, when your mind won't stop, when it feels like you're going to explode inside, God whispers, give everything to me. And then, as if it were an old memory that comes back with love, you hear it again. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. This promise is for today, for now, for your moment, for your confusion. You don't need to understand everything, or have all the answers, or solve everything today. You just need to trust that God is already here. He has already entered your doubt. He is already touching the pain that you couldn't even name. Even without understanding, I continue to believe. Your peace sustains me. I am yours and you are with me. Now that you have released what was weighing you down, how do you take the next step with God in control? Because the heart has already breathed. But now it asks, and how do I experience this in my day-to-day life? How do you put God at the center, in the midst of so many things to decide? How do you live wisely when doubts keep appearing? Maybe you think this means doing a lot more prayer, more fasting, more watching, more everything. But no, putting the kingdom first is not about doing more. It's about doing it with your heart in the right place. It's when you stop and before you decide. It's when you breathe before you despair. It's when you pray before you answer. It's when the soul says, Lord, teach me to start on your path. When your mind races with too many options and you don't know which one to choose first, putting God in the center is saying, guide me, Lord. I don't want to decide alone. It's opening the Bible before opening the email. It's saying, talk to me before asking everyone for advice. It's when doubt tries to dominate the morning. But you remember, your peace sustains me. Putting God at the center in the context of this pain that exhausts you in your decisions is trusting before controlling. It is being silent before pretending. It is being honest with God before trying to appear strong to everyone. Even without having all the answers, I put you at the center. It is to drink coffee calmly and pray before the first meeting. It is to say, Lord, give me discernment before responding to that message that could turn into confusion. It is to remember that wisdom is not speed, it is sensitivity. Putting God at the center is remembering that He also wants to be in conversations, in pauses, on the way between the bedroom and the kitchen, in the silence between one thought and another. It's when faced with a difficult choice, you don't run anymore. You pray, even if the answer doesn't come yet. This is when doubt presents itself first, but you invite faith to speak last. I want to hear your voice and before my anxiety. It is to remember that wisdom is not manufactured. It is received. It is cultivated. It is lived. Maybe today putting the kingdom first is looking to the sky before looking at the clock, or saying, I won't decide now until I talk to God. And that is not religiosity. That is intimacy. That is divine government in everyday life. It is understanding that God also wants to be present in the simple things, in choosing the supermarket, in talking to your child, in deciding to speak or to remain silent. Lord, I want to include you in my steps. You don't need to live more perfectly, just closer, more present, more attentive to the voice that is already speaking within you. Maybe it's like this, very subtle, the voice that asks you to wait a little longer, the impulse that calls you to breathe before clicking send. The calm that arrives just because you stopped for a minute and said, so God, what do you think? Today, putting the kingdom first is choosing to rest before running. It's asking for presence before asking for strength. It's remembering that God already loves you, even before you can handle it all. And if in the middle of the day you forget, no problem. Come back, again and again. The throne of your heart is His, and He never tires of being invited to reign again. Lord, today I want to start differently. I don't just want to talk about your kingdom. I want to live with you at the center. Reign again, guide me today, because it is only with you in command that my soul finds peace. After everything that has been said here, it may be that your heart is opening, as if something has been touched inside, in a place that has been quiet for days. And if this prayer spoke to you, I would like to invite you to do one simple thing. He writes, that's it. No need to justify yourself or find the perfect words. It could just be a whisper in the form of a sentence. I'm here, God. I still trust. Now I delivered. I forgive myself. I still hope. When you write, you transform a feeling into prayer, and shared prayer becomes a bridge. Someone might read what you wrote and feel God too, as if your sentence were a reminder that there is living faith in this space, that there is someone there believing together. If what you feel today is a desire to rest, to stop deciding everything on your own, to ask for direction without fear of making mistakes, then write, even without an answer, I trust in God. Today I handed over control. And if all you have is an amen, that's more than enough. God understands what you can't say. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment Maybe this little phrase written with faith is the most sincere prayer of your day, and maybe it's just the consolation someone was hoping to find. Father, you saw everything that has been said so far. You saw where pain gripped, you saw where faith wavered, and you also saw and when hope slowly lit up. Today I pray as I am, not as I want to be. There are parts of me that are still confused. Others are too tired to even cry. I wake up with the weight of having to choose, with the fear of making a mistake, with the doubt that screams louder than the certainty, and I try to solve everything alone, as if it depended only on me. But now, I stop, I breathe, and I come back. Lord, help me not to make decisions based on fear. Keep me from making choices just because I'm tired, or because I don't want to wait any longer, or because the silence is making me anxious. There are days when I look at life, and all I see are forks in the road, paths, voices, deadlines, expectations, and here I am trying to figure out where to go. But the Lord knows the end before the beginning, and I just want to learn to trust. Teach me to seek your direction before my logic, your peace before my haste, your timing before my impulse. Because if the Lord is not in the middle, I don't want to follow. If the Lord is not in the front, I don't want to decide. I'm tired of making plans and then asking you to bless them. Today, I want to ask first. I want to consult your heart before I move. And when fear tries to speak louder, when everything seems uncertain, I remember, Lord, the Lord has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. So I breathe and I continue. Even without knowing the ending, even without having all the answers, guide me from within, Lord. Place signs that only my heart will understand. Give me wisdom with peace, discernment with lightness, courage without rigidity, because there are decisions that no one can make for me, but I also don't want to make them without the Lord. Open my spiritual eyes, close the doors that do not come from you, even if I insist, and confirm with your peace and that which is within your will. Help me not to confuse anxiety with direction, to not make decisions just to alleviate fear, to not take shortcuts. When the Lord wants to teach me to walk step by step, there are days when I breathe, just to keep from crying. There are days when all I wanted was a clear answer, a yes or a no, an illuminated path, an audible voice. But the Lord sometimes responds with silence, with waiting, with a calm that does not come from the world. And it is in this calm that I want to live. It is in this kind of wisdom that I want to dwell, even without knowing everything. I choose you. I put you in the center. I give you my map and let you hold the compass. Father, this decision that I have to make, show me, confirm, speak to me the way I understand, the way only the Lord knows how to speak. And if I make a mistake, correct me with love, teach me, realign me, but don't let me leave your presence. I am yours, even on the days when I walk without direction, even when I choose poorly, even when I step away to think. The Lord knows me and still loves me. And so, today I pray with truth. Reign, Lord. Guide, Lord. Stay with me, because if you are not there, I can't do it. In the name of Jesus, amen. So just stay a little longer. No need to run, no need to think about everything again. Now, just silence. This silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It is the lap of God, surrounding you from within. Breathe slowly, like someone letting go of what they no longer need to carry, like someone surrendering, without fear. What you couldn't say, God already understood. Even the parts you tried to hide, even the doubts you couldn't even name, let the control slip through your hands like fine sand. It was never yours anyway. Let go of fear, let go of haste, let go of the need to understand everything now. Just stay. Stay with God in this moment. No rush to leave, no explanation to give, no burden to justify. This is where discernment is born, in silence, in stillness, in surrender that does not demand an immediate response. And even though there is still confusion out there, in here, peace has already begun to form. Maybe you don't feel anything right now, but God is already doing everything. So close your eyes and just breathe. This moment is yours, and it's His too. I don't need to have all the answers. I need to trust the one who guides me from within. I can wait without haste. Your peace has already arrived before the answer. Today I put fear out of command. God, the throne is yours. I am not defined by my doubts. I am guided by your presence. Even without visible signs, I believe that the Lord is already adjusting my path. I don't need to run. I need to breathe and remember who is with me. When my mind races, I choose to hear your voice before my anxiety. Today, I decide not to move on impulse. I choose to wait for you. What I do not understand has already been understood by the Lord. Even when everything in me wants to decide right away, I sit on God's lap. The wisdom I need does not come from me, it comes from you, Lord. I let go of what is holding me back and hold your hand tighter. Confusion does not rule me. Peace is my new starting place. Even when the day begins in silence, the sky continues to whisper direction. I am not guided by the fear of making mistakes. I am guided by the certainty that God is with me. The most important decision today is to let the Lord lead. My soul doesn't need to understand the entire path. Just trust in the step of now. Today I choose to consult the heavens before I consult my fear. There are places inside me that are still dark, but your light begins to shine in my heart. I no longer fight alone to get it right. I rest in those who never make mistakes. Even if it seems small, the step with God always takes you further. Your peace, Lord, is the answer before the answer. I no longer walk by my calculations. I walk by your voice, even if it is soft. The time I wait is also being used to shape me. Today, I don't need to have control. I need to have presence. I let go of haste and receive discernment. Today's decisions will be guided by prayer. I will no longer be a slave to doubt. Faith calls me forward. Even with all the options, I can still say, Lord, show me your way. My mind may be tired, but my spirit remains sensitive. Today I stop before I decide. I pray before I act. I let the Lord interrupt me if it is to realign me with your plan. Even though I can't see tomorrow, I trust in your care today. You have remained until now, in silence, with surrender, with everything that you are today. This is already prayer. Not every cry needs to be loud. Sometimes God answers the heart that just kept quiet and stayed with him. And if you made it to the end of this prayer, maybe it's because your spirit already understood. God was here, talking to you, caring, even between the lines. So breathe, because what was weight is now presence. What was guilt is now comfort. And what was fear is being replaced by care. Go easy. God has heard you, and he is already taking care of what you cannot yet see. If today's prayer spoke to something deep inside you, make sure you're already subscribed to this channel. There's always a new prayer very early in the morning waiting to be your companion at the beginning of the day. This is a place where God's presence has a set time to meet you. And if you need prayer for someone or for yourself, write it here in the comments. We read it, we pray, and we walk together, even in silence. And if you know someone who needs this same peace, send them this video. It could be the word that brightens the day of someone who had already woken up crying. And if this prayer found your heart today, write Amen here in the comments, not as an answer to me, but as a seal of faith between you and God. Go through your day with ease, with the certainty that God goes before you and also walks beside you. Come back here tomorrow. This little corner will always be waiting for you, not because of the channel, but because of him. The prayer ends now, but God's presence remains with you. Amen.